Yeah, it's a mic. It'll just be all mics.
He's a strange kid.
He's chopping down trees.
That was so funny. They're the fucking these 26 and doing side quests.
Me and him had an absurd conversation last night. Oh my God. All right, let's fucking. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 197 of Salvaggio and Cratty. Here for you again on another Wednesday night, June 12th, 6:57 p.m. You can find us on Apple. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Podchaser, Podbean, YouTube, Twitch. And we're back. 197. One episode closer to 200. We got some Celtics to start with some breaking news that isn't so breaking, but is technically breaking in a way, in the way that counts, unfortunately, in this case. Then we'll switch to a little bit of hockey talk, checking on the Cup finals and a couple interesting nuggets around the league like we've been doing lately. And a big update in the numbers community, I'll say, with the cat friendly news. And then we'll get into part two of a little rant with the Sox. We won't start the show with it tonight, but we'll end it on that with how it relates to John Henry this time around. And yeah, we got a nice little show. We'll have it done before tip off tonight. So if you want to lead up into the game with us tonight, go ahead. We welcome you to Ryan. I'll welcome you in now. How are you feeling ahead of game 3? And just in general.
I feel like I should say that I'm a little worried with the breaking news, as you said, that Kristaps Porzingis, like you said, probably pretty much known going into this game that he was obviously we knew it was going to be a game time decision. Found out maybe 10 minutes ago, if that, that he is officially out for tonight's game. In case people missed it, with that, I'm not even going to try to say it. We're going to call it an ankle injury, just to not.
Oh, I want to read it just because it's funny.
All right, go ahead. See if you can.
Is it in the outline?
It's just the first thing under my thoughts. The game 3 preview.
Oh yeah, let's read it just because it's funny. A rare torn medial retinaculum allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon.
There
I
you
almost
go.
got it.
A for effort.
Crazy assortment of words, hilarious assortment of words, but not hilarious in the sense that it'll keep Porzingis out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen, if you've looked around, like varying degrees of severity this could lead to. It could,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one that says like something like this can lead to a 4-month recovery, and there's been other wording that's saying it's day to day. So he could be back in game 4, or he could be done. Who knows?
He himself said he would die on the court if he played tonight, meaning that he would give it all
True.
his all, which obviously Celtics fans like to see, but we don't want to see Kristaps Porzingis die. To finish my thought, what I was saying is I feel like I should be worried about this news coming out, and yes, it's going to hamper the Celtics a little bit tonight. I think there's going to have to be some changes made to maybe how they attack Dallas and how they defend. We'll get into a little later with the game 3 previews after we kind of recap what's happened so far. And that kind of leads into what I'm, going to spoil in one of my game 3 previews is this should worry me, but it doesn't. Like, as we know, leading into these NBA finals, I have not been impressed by Dallas at all. We've said it numerous times, you and I both, that it's Luka and his crew. And it has been that these first 2 games of this NBA finals. The people that are still picking the Mavericks to win this series, I don't know if you're watching the same game as you and I have been, or the same sport, the same team, whatever it is. Unless, like I joked about this the other day with a couple of people, unless on the way down back to Dallas, the Mavericks made a quick pit stop in Miami and asked the Heat, like, "Hey, can you give us some of that black Miami Heat magic of how do your bench and scrub players end up playing so well against the Celtics?" Because the Mavericks need that. Outside of Luka, not impressed with him to be on this team so far. Kyrie has been absolute crap in this series so far, which has been both hilarious and very joyous to see. continues to say that, the fans aren't a problem with he hasn't been affected, but the guy has not hit a 3 yet in this series and has not scored more than 18 points. So you be the judge of, if he's affected or not. But yeah, I feel like this series so far has gone as maybe we expected it to, maybe not in the sense of, just outside of Luka, nobody showing up for the Mavericks, but it's been the overall talent of the Celtics that has propelled them to a 2 games a series lead. I'm not surprised by it at all. I guess we can just jump right into it with game 1 and game 2 thoughts. Have you been surprised at how this has gone?
I have something to say though, but like
okay.
Everybody talks about Jason Tatum and say what they want about him. He's not a leader, like he's not performing well enough in the finals. He's got so much talent around him. What people need to talk about more is that the Celtics won't let Kristaps Porzingis die on the floor. Are the Celtics soft? Everybody wants the Celtics to be soft. Celtics fuck off. Nobody's
question.
talking about how the Celtics are soft. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it'll happen. But hey, has Joe Mazzulla gone soft? Will he not let Kristaps Porzingis die on the court? I don't know.
Guess not.
Just makes you wonder. But yeah, like you were saying, I don't know how you still think the Mavericks can win this series because not only is Luka carrying the offense, he's giving a lot of points back, and he's clearly not fully healthy. Kyrie's uptick in production is not going to propel them to a win if Luka's doing his own thing, hopefully for his sake, without with some better defense. That's not going to be enough. Like if the Celtics are the Celtics, it's just not going to be. Like Derek Lively does nothing. Like no one around them like does anything really.
No,
which was
sort of
predictable.
Impressive bunch, yeah. Like PJ Washington's had his moments here and there, but that's a guy again that you can neutralize,
but it's not
and they have like
moving the needle like crazy for that team.
No, that's what I mean. Like Luka can go out, and we said this leading into this series. Like that's why I said I think it's gone exactly how we thought it was. Like the Celtics. Not that because obviously they're trying to stop Luka, but the guy is going to get 30 points. It doesn't matter who you put on him. And there's been times where, you've had some really great defensive moments against Luka. Jaylen Brown, that's kind of been, thoughts from game, again, as we mesh in games 1 and 2 here. Like Brown, I think, has been very, very good on Luka. He's been the guy that, as we talked about, was probably going to get the first go at him. And he has shut him down at times. Had a couple of great steals in that first game. Drew Holiday, who I think right now should be right up there as the MVP of the finals. If they were to end today, like he's been excellent on Luka when he's gotten a chance, and he's completely locked up Kyrie. Same thing for Derek White. That's been the impressive thing for me for the Celtics, and they kind of started to do a little bit in game 2, and it worried me just a little bit, is they really haven't thrown double teams at Luka, which is exactly what the Mavericks want. Like they want the Celtics to send 2 at Luka so he can dish off and get those assists. But again, the assists haven't been there. It's why I said a couple of shows back, like I don't know how this guy gets triple doubles on a nightly basis. And did, I think, in game 2, because there just isn't a whole lot of impressive players on the Mavericks side. Like again, PJ Washington's had his moments here and there. Gafford is giving them nothing. Lively's giving them nothing.
Lively's just straight up bad.
He's
and he just like
there's been some people.
How do you talk like he did after the game, after like just putting up performances? Like have a little awareness. Like
you're talking about calling out the fans like Kyrie. That's my thing is like come up with your own thought, dude, instead of following Kyrie's footsteps.
Does he think this is gonna like get in the heads of the Celtics and that's why he's doing it? Like if he does, I pray for him because they don't care at all.
Yeah, the guy needs to focus more on his basketball skills, seeing that he's averaging more fouls per game in this series than he is points per game.
Isn't he like young too? Like isn't he a young player?
That was what I was gonna say. Is he's
20 years old.
He's a rookie. He's had a very good season, but he has looked like a rookie in these finals. And again, following in Kyrie's footsteps of calling out the fan base, like you're not helping yourself, man. I joked earlier, the fan base might be a little quiet whenever he has the ball because he's not going to do anything with it except hack a guy or completely miss a shot or whatever. And I think mainly his his kind of claim to fame this season is another thing that the Celtics have done a good job of shutting off of in this series, and a lot of people have talked about, has been Dallas's inability to get the lob pass going, which I think is something Lively. That's where his focus is. That's where I think he gets a lot of his points. So shutting that off has been key. And that's kind of the thing that maybe worries some people tonight with no Porzingis. Is that going to creep back in? Is that's what the Mavericks are going to be able to get back into? Something they haven't done all series is get that lob pass going. So that's kind of where the lack of Porzingis may hurt the Celtics, is obviously on the defensive end and the rim protection. But again, like Porzingis hasn't started these series. The Celtics have been perfectly fine when he hasn't been on the floor. So like I said, that there's going to be a little bit of a downtick defensively and offensively without him out there. But unless somebody again for Dallas steps up, and everyone says the same thing that role players play better at home, it's true. So maybe you see a little bit of a difference tonight. But again, just the overall talent of the Celtics, like they should be able to pick up the slack perfectly fine. Like you're waiting for Tatum obviously to have a big game, as you alluded to. He has not been great in these finals, but he's not been as bad as some people have made him out to be. Like I think those people just want him to come out and drop 40 a night, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, he's not like putting up tons and tons of points, but he's creating chances and he's making things happen and he's facilitating well. The thing, like going back, and we talked so much about depth, like with the Porzingis out factor, there's not a guy with Porzingis out that I see around Luka and Kyrie, and I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna free him up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There just isn't a guy like that. And it just goes like, it makes me think back. There's like ESPN had 9 of 17 analysts that said the Mavericks are gonna win the series. I don't know how.
I'm just convinced it's the Kyrie and Luke effect, because there was a lot of obviously.
Do people think like did these people think Tatum was just gonna implode? Like, is that part of the reason why? Like, I don't get it. Like, are they doing it to be different? Like, we know
I honestly think it's just
what they say all the time. Like some of these pundits, and that's nothing against them personally, but some of them it's a little more obvious. But like, I don't get it. And
no, I honestly just think it's the Kyrie and Luka factor, and that's all it is.
Yeah, and if, like I said, I will say, if there is a game to lose in this series, it is tonight. I don't think they will, but like Kyrie,
the underdogs tonight, surprisingly.
They are. Kyrie will step up tonight. We're not going to see this bum Kyrie. He'll have the Celtics fans in his head less. He'll be a little more motivated. We know he's talented. Luka is obviously going to try and draw 40 because, backs against the wall against Luka Doncic. But, like, there's too much to love about the Celtics team for me to be too worried. But, I think if there's one they're going to lose, it's tonight. And I think win or lose tonight, they win game 4 and then game 5. So I think Celtics in 5 is something I'm still very confident in. So that's where my head's at. Drew Holiday, I mean, he's just been so perfect. And he doesn't always light it up, but he's always very solid. I don't think we see a lot of lulls, but he just like he has a way. It's like maybe not even an on and off switch where he can just like be like, okay, I'm gonna drop 25. Like
he knows when to
have 8 or 9 rebounds.
Yep.
Like he's like a snake in the grass.
It really is. Like I think the good way to describe him is he kind of knows what the situation calls for, and that's what like the pro that he is. Like you said, if he needs to go out and drop 20 plus a night, he can do that, no problem. He has said it before himself too, and because everyone's kind of asking the same thing of late, the questions about his role here with this team, and he has said it since day one, that he's going to do whatever it takes to help this team, and you've seen that in just these playoffs alone, numerous ways, let alone the season as a whole. But again, coming out in game 2, needing to drop 20 plus points, can do that. Also factors in 11 rebounds. We saw in the Indiana series, make huge defensive plays late in games to win you games, be a facilitator with, 8+ assists at numerous times in these playoffs. He's done it all. He's been great. Derek White, same thing. Like they obviously were the storyline one of the storylines of game 2, 2 guys that just, I think snake in the grass for both of them is a good way to describe them, because they're not the guys you think of as, the big threat, not threats, because obviously they can get theirs, but you know what I mean? Like you think of Tatum, Brown, Porzingis before you think of any of those guys in this team. And they've been, the unsung hero at times. White continues, I think, to be one of the most clutch players on both ends of the floor.
In game 2, I think.
18-5, had the huge chase down block, which everyone, if you're a Mavs fan, including Jason Kidd, wants to cry about it being a foul on Brown, which there was some contact, but he didn't like forearm shiver PJ Washington into the first row. Like
he like indirectly half walked back the whole Jaylen Brown comment too about him being the best player, like praising Tatum after game 1 too. So
he's another reason why too.
Jason Kidd's kind of in his like put himself in his own head. It feels like
that was going to be one of the things too leading into game 3 and just this series as a whole is why I'm not, or moving forward as a whole rather, of why like again I don't see how people can pick Dallas in this series. Like Jason Kidd's an idiot to me. Like I think he focuses more on and like you said, maybe he tried to walk it back, but I mean that you don't do what you did before game 2 without a reason. Trying to say again the Brown comment of him being the best player. He might not be wrong because Brown has been their best player in these finals. Don't get me wrong. And again, that's not a knock on Tatum, but Brown has just been the better all around player at times. So maybe he's onto something there, but like again, kind of a skeevy tactic going into game 2, trying to get into the head of the Celtics.
Yeah, like either way, I think he's running circles in his own brain a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can definitely make the case that I think say what you will about Joe Mazzulla. I think he's coached circles around him so far these first couple of games. I've never been impressed with Jason Kidd. Like Jason Kidd, to me, his one claim to fame as a coach. I don't know if you remember a couple years back. I think it was when he was with either Milwaukee or might have been Brooklyn, where he had the player knock into him and knock his Coke onto the floor to get the extra timeout. Like that's the most well-known thing to me that Jason Kidd has done as a head coach. Great player, obviously. But like, I don't know. He doesn't impress me either. The thing he's caught a lot of flack for, and rightfully so too, was that challenge right at the beginning of game 2. Like, just an absolutely stupid decision there. Clear as day was not a foul, whatever the call was. But that kind of goes into it too.
It's kind of just bizarre to like challenge early in a basketball game.
Yeah, well,
am I wrong for saying that?
Unless it's
have to be something like egregious,
right? Absolutely, yeah. And that wasn't like clear as day that you were not going to win that challenge. Yeah, right. And like the situation too was you weren't getting the ball. Like the Celtics, Derek White had the ball in his hands when you called that challenge, so it's not like even if you won it, you were going to get possession. So that's like it trickles down for me for Dallas. Like again, I sound like a broken record here. It's Luka and everybody else. Like I don't think they're coached well. I don't think they have a great supporting cast. They play dumb too. Like we talked about the lively fouls. And just not knowing the situation, the amount of just open, you talked about it with Drew Holiday, the open layups he's gotten in this series where he's just kind of standing right in the middle of the paint with nobody covering him. So again, like I really just think the people that want to continue to pick Dallas and think that they're going to rebound is just because they have Luka and Kyrie. And I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that like the better all-around team is going to win this series, and that's the Celtics, whether they have Porzingis or not. It blows my mind, like I said. After game 2, the amount of people I still saw that were like, oh, Dallas is going to bounce back. Like, they'll be fine. What team are you watching? Like, what impresses you outside of Luka and Kyrie? It's mind-blowing to me.
Any way you look at Luka, healthy or not healthy, like, even healthy Luka might not be capable of going shot for shot with the Celtics. And, like, he's got, like, he seems fairly banged up and, like, fairly uncomfortable
he's dealing with
out there.
everything under the book.
And we'll hear stuff after the finals. You know, we've heard some stuff, dating back earlier in the playoffs too. But like, we'll find out more specifics. We'll find out the severity. But like, I don't know. They just don't have the horses right now. And I stand by what I say. If they win tonight, I think this is the game they win. And if they don't, they probably get swept. So,
without a doubt, I think this team has
the Celtics have the kill shot of 3-0 in game 4. I don't think there's like the smallest chance there's like a minimal chance they're losing in game 4. But I will say, I do want them to win on home court.
I do too. But that's the only reason why I picked them in 5 games.
I'm not gonna complain if they win in 4. I'm not gonna complain.
No, I don't think anybody would.
Entertainment value at home. That's your obviously most ideal scenario to win at home at this point. Obviously, so don't want a game 7. I just prefer to win on the road. Yeah. But I don't think it's possible to get to game 7. I like where they're at a lot.
And how can you not? Like,
how could you not?
Yeah.
How can you not? We're having fun. Yeah. We're having fun. 2 games away.
Oh, the thing on the Luka stuff
get there. The green get there shirt is back.
There you go.
Nothing illustrates what they need to do more.
The thing I was going to ask you, because I've heard some people kind of talk about this. You brought up Luka and his injuries. And again, this kind of, for me, feeds into that the Mavericks are just kind of a joke of a team right now with some of the stuff they've been doing. What'd you think of, like, a lot of people seem to think that the whole body cast and everything before game 2, they had to like made it known to show that numerous times on the broadcast. Like, look at all these injuries that Luka's dealing with. And then the guy came out and casually dropped 30 plus again like it was nothing. Like, I don't disagree with you that he's 100% banged up. He's dealing with what, an ankle, back, something else, like
thoracic contusion. I think.
Yeah, he's got a weird name injury too. But like that to me was like I found kind of weird. Like, really, we're going through all this stuff to show all these injuries he has. And you have to make it known. They really
had him in the guy in the chocolate episode of SpongeBob and the whole
legitimately body what it was. Every day I wake up and break both my legs.
Like one of those one of those like shows you'd watch on like Disney Channel. Someone gets like punched by a bully and they show up with like the neck brace, like the
Yeah,
foam neck
everything
brace the
completely
next day,
overreaction.
and like a brace on their arm.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that was goofy.
Hmm.
A little bit, depending on how you look at it. But what else do we need to cover here on how we're looking forward here?
I mean, we
Anything
really
else
ran through pretty much everything. It's kind of tough to talk about the first couple of games because I feel like they've both kind of gone the same way. Like game two, the Celtics got a little bit more of a punch back from Dallas, and they
Mhm.
weathered the storm very well as we've seen. But like that, the big storyline from game two for me was like the Mavericks blew a great chance. You have the Celtics shoot as bad as they did, where they had what, maybe
Yeah,
four threes in the entire game going into the fourth quarter, whatever it
but
was, and then end up still
Pritchard,
winning.
dude,
Like,
we got to
Prit-
talk about Pritchard.
mm,
Oh, that was a fuck you three. That was ice cold.
yeah.
That
But
was
that's the thing
awesome.
too, is like the Celtics, they haven't played a whole lot in this series, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on bench players. But like game one, Sam Hauser, after he has a horrible series against the Pacers, comes out, hits a couple of big threes,
Yeah,
played great defense on Luka and Kyrie at times, which
yeah,
is
which is
insane to
weird.
say. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's like, and that was he did that before we started hitting the threes too. So it was like, is Sam Hauser going to be your defensive stopper in this series instead of your 3-point shooter? Pritchard, like you said, has it just seems like this is his thing now to come off the bench and nail buzzer beaters right at the half or right at the end of a quarter. But that's the thing too. The Celtics are getting contributions from those guys, and Dallas can't get anything from anybody else. So it's been a total team effort so far. And again, not surprising in the slightest on how you, if you paid attention to how these two teams have operated. Again, the Luka show that is the Mavericks. I won't knock him because he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, someone's going to have to step up tonight. It will probably be Kyrie. I don't think he's going to continue these shooting slumps. There's no way he doesn't hit a three this entire series. Like that's kind of been a crazy thing so far. Is 0 for 8 from three from Kyrie Irving, one of the better shooters from deep, just in his career as a
yeah.
whole. So, like I
He's
said, we've
also
kind
like
of run
12
through,
straight against the Celtics now in the
yeah, since
playoffs
stepping
and
on
or regular
lucky, like
season.
0 for his
Yes.
last 12 or 13. But yeah, I mean, just kind of to wrap it up here, we've kind of given our spiel on just everything as a whole. What are you looking for tonight? Rest of the series, you kind of alluded to at the start of this. Any concern for the Porzingis injury moving forward? Because, like you said, there have been numerous reports, all kind of pointing in different directions of how long he could miss. He thought he was going to play tonight, so it's kind of what does the
Yeah.
player think compared to what do the doctors think? So where are you at on everything heading in tonight and moving
Yeah.
forward?
The vibe I got about the Porzingis like wanting to play thing is like you never want to be out in the lineup in a situation like this. I
True.
wasn't counting on him playing.
No, I wasn't
Um,
either. My buddy put it perfectly. It's like a big smoke screen type of thing to try to get Dallas thinking
yeah,
he was going to play. So,
just a competitor type of thing. I
mhm.
do think, his large frame not having his outstretched reach in the way of shots for namely Kyrie Irving will help Kyrie, which kind of lends itself to the fact that I think Kyrie's finally going to hit like that 20-point mark tonight, have a good game.
Mhm.
You never know though. It is Kyrie. Maybe he's got a dog series in him.
Yeah.
But Luka's gonna be Luka, as much as he can be due to his physical limitations. And this is every game. I'm just more and more confident the Celtics winning. So I think they're just gonna take care of business tonight. I'm not really concerned. I have said I think if they're gonna lose one this series, it is tonight.
I'm right there
But
with you. Yep.
I'm not gonna be like worried about them losing unless they're getting stomped early
Mhm.
or like things get ugly late. Like I'm gonna be in the mindset that they're gonna win this game. I'm confident. But yeah, I don't know. First game at home for Dallas this series. This is the one to steal, I think.
Yeah. Even off of that
Well,
comment too, like you said, if they get stuck, like that's the only thing I can see where this way I can see the Celtics losing is if they like just come out flat and are down 30 early. Like even if they're down, and we've obviously seen them come back in these playoffs. But again, this goes into the fact that I don't think Dallas has done anything to deter them. Like game two was more on the Celtics not hitting shots, than Dallas doing anything defensively to stop them from getting wherever they wanted. Because I mean they had plenty of open shots just weren't falling. So like that's kind of where I'm at. Like even if the Celtics get down like 10 plus in this game tonight, I'm not really all that worried that they're not going to be able to come back. Because again, I haven't seen any pushback at all from Dallas in the series. Like I'm sure you saw the video on Twitter today going around of the guy that made the compilation of Luka just getting blown by on like every defensive possession, pretty much. So
yeah.
again, maybe that's more so that the injuries are starting to creep in for him, but he's never been a good defender. He's been one of those guys that you try to switch on to. Kyrie's been abysmal in this series defensively, as he's been. I feel like for the last couple of years of his career, not a great defensive player. And again, like no one really does it for me on Dallas. Like you can't stress that enough if you couldn't tell.
Mhm.
So like, again, like I'm with you. I think the Mavericks will get one. It's probably going to be tonight, but they're going to have to shoot the lights out, and the Celtics are going to have like the most abysmal of abysmal nights to even have, give Dallas a chance to win this game. Unless, like I said, you get that Miami Heat type of game where Washington's going for 25 plus, Gafford comes
Yeah.
out and looks like Shaquille O'Neal out there. Like you're going to have to get these guys to step up. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they can because they haven't shown it yet.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate this too. If the Celtics win tonight, they're winning in 4. So
Oh, absolutely. Dallas has, I think,
mhm.
their prime DNA of just roll over and die in game 4. Like maybe
Yeah, I
they
don't know.
don't want to come
Like,
out and lose and on their home court and give you something. But again, even if they punch back,
I just don't know if
like
it's gonna be.
that's what I
Have we said
mean.
that enough?
Yeah, it's
It's really true.
I like I said, I would love to ask the people like legitimately, and a lot of like the things I saw, people pick because obviously all the teams across the league will do like, oh, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl? Who do you think's going to win this year? So a lot of answers for people that pick Dallas. I'm rolling with Kyrie. I'm rolling with Luka. Again, I think most of the people that are picking the Mavericks are solely picking it because I know Kyrie and I know Luka Doncic. They play for the Mavericks. They're good, so I'm going to pick the Mavericks. Like if you
Yeah,
watch these two teams play, it's night and day compared to like the talent level. And
yeah,
again, can't stress that enough. Um,
yeah.
any thoughts
The
on? Go
perception of
ahead.
Tatum and Brown is just so different outside of Boston too. So
True, and I was going to ask you that, Jason Tatum. How you feeling tonight going into this game? He himself has said it. These first couple games he needs to be better. The turnovers got better from game 1 to game 2. The shooting did not. He said that after game 2, like something along the lines of like, "Oh, geez, I got to shoot the ball better here." May have more of an opportunity with no Porzingis tonight. Maybe asked to take on more of a scoring role as we kind of thought he should be. But I asked this question to a buddy of mine the other day. Would you rather have Jason Tatum come out for this game and go for 30 plus? Maybe the Celtics lose by a couple of points, or would you rather see this type of balanced performance of 18 to 20 points, somewhere in that range? But he's also going to factor in 8 assists, 10 or more rebounds, something along the lines of that. Because it might be crazy, but I kind of lean that way. Like if he doesn't have to be the big
I
scorer, I don't want him to be.
kind of lean that way, but I'm expecting 25 plus from Tatum tonight.
Yeah, it's got to break out of his slump at some point, whether that's
Yeah.
tonight or game 4, if there's a game 5. But
Yeah,
you got to think it's coming soon.
I feel like if you're against the whole approach he's had where he's not shooting the lights out and like facilitating well and creating plays, like I feel like if you're not for that, even without Porzingis, I think you're kind of overthinking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you're reading too much into it, I think they'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And Missoula will have them ready too, because like you said, Missoula has coached circles around Jason Kidd, so I'm not
Yeah,
really
he's been
nervous.
great in this series
No
so
matter
far.
what Tatum's approach is, barring that he doesn't suck,
Mm-hmm.
of course, tonight. I'm okay with it. So I'm comfortable and confident right now.
As am I. And again, like you've seen strides these first couple of games. Last game, he obviously looked like he was trying to be more aggressive. Just missed what 4 or 5 layups right at the basket. So he is hearing it. Obviously, it seems like he's hearing it. And knows what needs to be changed. But now, of course, it's on him to go out and figure it out. And again, I don't think there's any concerns with Tatum. There shouldn't be. Again, like it's not great that he's not shooting the ball well. You would have a legitimate gripe if he, was turning the ball over 8. Like if this was the finals from 2 or 3 years ago, where he's turning the ball over 6+ times a night, not making the right decision. But his passing's been great. His rebounding's been excellent. And he's had his, stamp on this series so far a couple of times defensively. So I don't have any massive concerns with Tatum. You would just like to see the scoring come, and I think it's going to come eventually.
Yeah, shout out to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. You gloss over the guy that, or we really haven't talked a whole lot about Brown, who, again, very easily could be the MVP of these finals. I think he would be right now if they were to end today. But it's just been more of the same with him. Like, he's been the guy. I'm not going to get into the talk that people have gotten into these last couple of days of, is Jaylen Brown the Celtics alpha over Tatum? Like, is he the guy over Tatum that I've heard?
Fuck cares?
Exactly. Who gives a shit?
Leave that to the pundits when they get bored in the offseason. I don't give a fuck about that right now.
No.
And I won't ever.
Even if you did want to make that argument, like, does it matter? Like, even if he is, like, why would that be a bad thing? Like, who cares? I am perfectly fine with Brown being the heart and soul of this team, the guy that wants, and he has been. He's been the guy that gets them fired up. I think that's more in his DNA than it is Tatum's. But at this point, again, if it wins you a title, who gives a crap? Whether
Yeah,
who's the
like
guy taking
it'll
the
just
last
be
shot, who's
important.
the
It'll be
alpha, like.
important for the guys who spend all day on the internet debating who the top five is and who's better than
Mhm.
who. The fact of the matter is, by next week's show, we could have a Banner 18, and Al Horford could have his first championship as well as
Wouldn't
the
that be
boys.
nice?
So, Holiday won one. Holiday
Yeah,
won
with
one, right? Yeah.
Milwaukee. Yep.
Okay, so pretty much everybody is a first-time champion to my
Hmm.
knowledge. So, that'd be
Keep an
pretty
eye out
awesome.
for Al Horford tonight too.
Yeah,
Like I
a little
told you,
sneaky.
people that watched the game last game too, Luca giving him some crap. He kind of gave him the old
Yeah, little fuck
the
you, Al
Giannis
game.
look. Like, okay,
Oh,
all right,
and
just wait, buddy.
remember I called game five? If this gets to game five at home,
Big Al
we're
Horford
getting
game.
a double, we're getting a double out of Al. I'll predict
Yeah,
it right now.
bet the house on a massive Al Horford game.
Yes, a double. Bet the balance on a double if this gets to game
Hmm.
five. He loves game fives.
Yep.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think we could be talking about a championship next Wednesday. So let's hope they can close it
Hmm.
out.
I want to say don't jinx anything, but if you couldn't tell by the tone of that Celtic segment, not sold. Not sold in the Mavericks.
Sold.
Not in the
Let's go.
slightest.
Banner 18 is loading.
Mhm.
Everybody says this is loading. This is coming soon. Banner 18 is getting real close. But there's another final going on right now, Ryan. Oh, we
One
forgot to mention.
not going great.
Forgot to mention Jerry West passed away today.
Yes, he did. The logo.
I had his basketball reference page open, and I just remembered before, right as I was starting the hockey NBA logo. Jerry West, legend. Let's read off the accolades: Hall of Famer, 14-time All-Star, scoring champion in 69-70. AST, is that All-Stars? AST champion 71-72. NBA champion in 72, 12-time All-NBA player, 5-time All-Defensive, 68-69 Finals MVP, All-Star MVP in 71-72, and on the NBA 75th anniversary team. Averaged 27 points a game.
Pretty good.
See, man, he was, obviously outside of our era, but really good player, legendary player, Hall of Famer. The silhouette, if you want to call it the NBA logo, passed away today at 86, I believe. Pretty tough to see.
Mhm.
You see a legend go down like that, but 86 is a long life. Just really sad to see that. We wanted to wish the best to everybody around
Absolutely.
Jerry West. I might have said Jerry Rice by accident. I apologize a little earlier, but yeah, that was a real bummer to see. But on to hockey. We have a different looking, but not really that different looking
Bummer
final.
Stanley Cup final so far.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid are getting Panthers right now. It's
pantsed.
not good. McDavid is doing everything he can. I
McDavid
guess
has
that
gone
depends on
from
who you're talking to.
the Mike Trout of hockey to the Luka Doncic of hockey right now. The way this is
I
going.
don't know. Like it's really rough. We saw a little bit of what the Panthers can bring out of a team with the chippiness when they get down late. We saw that happen in the Bruins series. Got a little chippy last night. They lose. Oilers dominate game one, lose 3-0. Bob made a couple particularly awesome saves. You'd like to steal that if you're the Oilers, but you had another chance in game two and you squandered it in game two. There was a lot. There was a lot more much more eventful game two in terms of extracurriculars. Game one, they get outshot or they outshoot the Panthers 32-18, but lose. Very weird to see the Panthers, the Oilers over 3 on the power play, but they were only won 40% of draws. Verhaeghe, Rodriguez, and Luostarinen get on the board, and the Panthers take care of business in game one. Speaking of Luostarinen, was on the receiving end of a somewhat intentional looking leg check by Warren Fogle. Warren Fogle gets the boot. Bunch of penalty minutes as well, got 15 penalty minutes on the play. This one got eventful as it went on. It started there, and we had a good back and forth hockey game, minus the whole Edmonton getting a ton of scoring chances portion, but it was entertaining. But we saw more of Florida find their identity in this one. They're practically unbeatable when they're on their game. Like, is what it is. They're going to win the cup. I don't think Edmonton has it. They have the power, they just
But
haven't shown
if
the
that power gets
ability to beat
neutralized,
Bob.
like, yeah.
Yeah, like no goals from Draisaitl and McDavid. Um, Draisaitl struggled to get pucks on net in game two. He had like three or more shots on goal in the first period in game one. Clearly, much different story in game two. Evan Bouchard just hands Florida 2 goals.
He sucks.
Um,
That guy's
he
brutal.
he is a true yin and yang player because he hasn't been doing this all year. But he's had a couple ugly ones, couple like lack of effort plays defensively. I got him called out one in the King series I mentioned that went pretty viral. I remember rather not mention. Um, but for him and his sake, he's on a bridge deal right now, and he set himself up in the future to get a huge payday because of his offense. But he does give it back a little bit defensively. He is like the most 90 plus mile per hour shots of anyone in the league by like a double digit margin. He
Mhm.
scores a lot. He creates a lot of plays, but I also thought Edmonton was just trying too hard to be fancy, especially on the power play in game two too much. It's a blessing and a curse to have a power play unit with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, um, Evan Bouchard, and Zach Hyman when you're really loading the deck to the point where like I think they were trying to be too pretty and Florida was doing a good job, making them overthink things. So that's credit to Florida as well.
Mhm.
They have the blueprint, they have the motivation from last year. It's not happening for Edmonton this year. It's it happened in 2011. Bruins lose the first 2 games, winning game seven. I just don't think it's happening this year for Edmonton, despite the things I was talking about last week. Like McDavid can will them to win it because he's Connor McDavid and has a great supporting cast, but Florida is just not allowing that. And I don't
Cast has
know
been
what
non-existent. Yeah.
Edmonton can do to like get over the hump there because Florida's just proven they can do this to any team. Florida's
Mhm.
beaten Andre Vasilevsky, they've beaten Igor Shesterkin, they've beaten Jeremy Swayman. Like, you think they can't beat Stuart Skinner? I like Stuart Skinner, but
Yeah.
he's not on the level as those other goalies.
Mhm.
Like, it's rough. And I mean, Edmonton's just like it's Bouchard on offense, it's Ekholm on offense, and then there's really not much else. Darnell Nurse has had a like historically bad postseason for a guy that makes almost $9.3 million. Cody Cece's out of the lineup. Vinny DeHarnay is pretty much a non-factor. Philip Broberg's okay. Like their defensive depth is being exposed. Florida's just too quick, too efficient, too precise with their passes. Yeah, Gustav Forsling leading the back end is just he is so fucking good. Like it's a nightmare for Edmonton.
Mhm.
These poor fans have waited so long to get back, and they might lose in four. They
To
might.
make
They
to
won't.
make
I'll guarantee they steal one at home.
they'll take one at home. Absolutely.
Maybe two. Maybe two. I'm not saying two, but they'll take one at home, but they are not winning this series. And it's worth noting that Florida is going to land late tonight, so maybe that affects their cycles and everything. But I don't know if with all that stuff, with the that stuff can affect players. Edmonton needs to win Game 3 even more now.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
you got the crowd, you got the crazy fans. First time in the Cup final in ages. Um, there is a blueprint. It's just not looking like a great one, and I hope they pull it off. But I'm not super optimistic right now, Ryan.
I don't know how you can be because let's be honest, like the Oilers probably should not have a goal in this series yet. Like out of all the saves Bobrovsky made in game one and has made in these playoffs, the goal he lets in last night was a really weak goal. But then, like you said, it really didn't matter in the end for the Like the Panthers, to me, I feel like I've gotten to the level of like the Warriors were a couple years ago in basketball, where I feel like they just play with their opponent of like, we'll let you
Mm-hmm.
think you're gonna get comfortable here, let you maybe get into your game a little bit, and then just bludgeon it over the head with the talent that we have and the all around talent. Because we talked about this leading into these cup finals, or this cup final rather, is the Oilers, they have the top heavy talent, but I think the Panthers are the more balanced out talent wise team. Once you get further down the lineup a little bit, and you're starting to see that like the Panthers are getting contributions from pretty much everyone, or they're big dogs, and some of their other players like the Evan Rodriguez. This is a good player, don't get me wrong, but I mean that's a guy that you don't expect to come out and
Clutch.
score 2 goals in a Stanley Cup final game. And he was excellent the other night. So I think you're just seeing the Panthers are their all around just more well put together team, I think. And it does stink because like we talked about it last week. Like you want to see McDavid get over that hump. Um, but it's been him and really hasn't gotten a whole lot of help, as you said, and the Panthers
Yeah.
are just continuing to, like I said,
Matthias
the
Ekholm has their one goal.
Yeah, not great. Not great at all. But yeah, I mean that I think this is what pisses you off about the Panthers too, because we talked about it again leading into this series as well. Like the chippiness and at times the scumbagginess that they play with, like at times overlooks or kind of overshines at how good this team is all around. Like they play fantastic playoff hockey. Like and we
Yeah, they
talked
do.
about it before. They can beat you, outscoring you by a ton, or they can, beat you in a 1-0 game where they just bludgeon you to death with their physicality. So it's going to be tough for Edmonton to get back in this series. I was texting you last night, thought that, maybe this is a series where, the home team gets every game. And you end up, having to get to a game 7 and see what happens there. That was before the Panthers pulled away, or maybe it was right around, towards the end of that game. But I mean, the Panthers showed that I think they can just play however they want, style wise. And there's really not a whole lot the Oilers are going to be able to do unless they start getting some contributions from somebody not named McDavid. Or in the
Yeah, it's
case of
gonna
that last night, Ekholm.
they're gonna need an explosion. I don't think like a win's just gonna be enough for a chance to like win the series. They're gonna need
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
explosion. If the Bruins can do it against the Panthers, the Bruins have that one big game offensively.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers can. So there's
True.
that if you're an Oilers fan. And they are beatable. It's just very hard to beat them. So Matthew Tkachuk takes a punch, cheap shot, little punch. Florida fans ironically upset. That happened so far this series. He took a jab to the face from McDavid, which was pretty awesome to see. You got the headlock that Bouchard did, like the joking or somewhat serious tap out, and the controversial non-delay of game. Um, that one was weird because the rule is it has to be like fully separated from the player's stick before the blue line for it to count as delay of game, which it technically wasn't. I kind of don't love that rule, but it is what it is. Like I see both sides of it. That could have been big. Chris Knoblauch was pissed for Edmonton's side of things. Draisaitl elbows Barkov in the head. I saw someone say like when Barkov was holding his hand like right here, he's like he's holding his jaw together. I'm like, are you fucking
Take
out
it
of your
easy.
mind? Is he
Yeah.
Frankenstein now? What the fuck? Um, that was crazy. I didn't think it was super intentional looking, but maybe there was some intent. It was bad, no doubt about it. The Sam Carrick nut shot, he gets laid out by Kulikov. Don't love the nut shot, but we've seen it happen
It's a
for
low blow,
Brad Marchand before,
literally.
so I'm not gonna, defend Sam Carrick. It is a cheap ass bunch of bullshit. He got a fine. That was it. I actually wanted to take a look because I got the athletic notification of why Draisaitl wasn't suspended. So I wanted to see if I could find this out real quick. However, Barkov avoided a broken jaw in the play, according to a league source, and skated without any extra facial protection in practice today. Why was Draisaitl not suspended? According to sources familiar with the decision-making process, the Department of Player Safety didn't like that Draisaitl's right forearm came up while delivering the check, or that he left his feet in the process. Believing the feet wasn't great either for
No,
Draisaitl's sake.
yeah.
But they also didn't see a chicken wing type of hit where a player fully extends his arm and elbow with the clear intent of catching the opponent's head. Kind of where my head was at.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. It worked in Draisaitl's favor that he has no prior suspension history and that it's a Stanley Cup final. Yeah, it would
Yeah,
have to. It
that's
would
where
have had to
my
have been
mind was.
egregious.
You're
You
not going to
can't
suspend that
suspend
guy at
him.
this point.
No,
Yeah.
no. Overall, I think it's been a fairly entertaining series, but a little underwhelming. You'd like to
Mhm.
see Edmonton get into the track meet on the score sheet a little more. They
Yeah,
got to
for
simplify
sure.
things in the power play. Bouchard needs to be a lot smarter in the defensive zone. Skinner, say what you want about Skinner. I don't think he's the main problem. Uh, gotta, Evan Bouchard, the battle of the Evans. He's certainly not winning right now.
He's
Evan
getting
Rodriguez.
killed in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I have a lot of, I hate Evan Rodriguez because he's a BU guy and he's on the Panthers, but I really like how he spoke with Emily Kaplan after the game, like how he'll take on a new role, he just wants to win, like one of those cliches, but he clearly does do that. He plays around the lineup a lot and he had 2 huge goals, so kind of give the guy his flowers there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like as much as I hate them, they're a very respectable team and how they're built and how they're coached, even though I hate their coach. Um, but you got to give credit where credit's due.
For sure.
Game 3 in Edmonton coming up tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what this is a spot we've never seen Connor McDavid in. So Maybe we'll see another echelon of Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Maybe it's someone else that steps up that nobody expects. Maybe Matthias Ekholm will just score every single goal for Edmonton in the playoffs.
It's not a
I
recipe for
love him.
success.
By the way, I love Matthias Ekholm. This is a guy we talked about for the Bruins in the past. Pretty good pickup for them. Let's go over some other notes. We do have the 6 finalists for the naming rights in Utah: the Utah Mammoth, the Yeti, Blizzard, Venom Outlaws, or Hockey Club. I will hate the Utah Hockey Club if they are the Utah Hockey Club, out of spite. The Outlaws, Utah Outlaws, doesn't really. I like the name itself. I don't like how it flows off the tongue.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue that well.
Utah Venom, nice. Could be a cool logo too. Not good for people who hate snakes. Or other venomous creatures. Maybe there's a venom phobia. I don't know. There probably is. There's lots of phobias out there. Utah Blizzard, nice. They be playing in the West. You get Blizzard versus Avalanche. You can make a cool logo out of that too.
What would the mascot for that team be?
I don't know. Just
Snowflake?
I don't know. They have to get creative with that. Yeah. I love the Utah Yeti, and I think a lot of other people do. I've seen a lot of people don't like the singular form. Doesn't really bother me. I think
I was going to ask you about that. It's a little
Utah
weird.
Yetis sounds worse.
Yetis
to me. Utah Yetis, no. Utah Yeti works
Yeti's
better.
fine, yeah. Mammoths
like
you can get away with, I think, a little bit more than Yetis.
Mammoth sounds good though. Mammoth sounds good. I like it more. I want Mammoth because I want the logo. Ray Romano should be there at game 1.
I was thinking the same
of their
thing.
franchise. Utah Mammoth just
great minds think alike.
You can make a badass logo. You could get a lot of people like a bluish color, like some purple. Maybe throw some brown in the logo, some white around it. That could work. I want Utah Mammoth. That's what I voted for. We both hate Hockey Club. Are there any other of the other options that you like? Are you a Venom guy? Are you a Blizzard guy? Like where are we at? Because anything besides Outlaws or Hockey Club, I'm pretty much cool with. And it's gonna be Mammoth or Yeti, I think.
Oh, see, I'm in the case. I think it's gonna be Hockey Club. Like they're gonna get everybody all hyped up and then go with the most boring route possible. Go with a beer league type of name.
Yeah, because Washington football team worked really well.
Yeah, exactly. Go with like a year.
Ryan Smith, who owns the team now, seems too smart for that. But if the fans vote for it, like they vote for it.
You are.
If I were Ryan Smith and I saw like you don't have to make the findings public, I'd be like,
great point. I was just gonna say it's like, do you have to let people know that
we put it there because it's in the final 6, but like this is gonna be better. It's gonna sell more merch. Who's gonna buy Utah Hockey Club merch over a fucking Yeti or a Mammoth or a big snake logo? Like, come on. Even the Outlaws, you can make a cool Outlaw logo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Like I said, I'd be curious to see what they end up doing from a standpoint of logos and mascots if you go with the Blizzard. Like that'd be funny if they did Blizzard and then I don't know why I can't say mascot tonight. It'd be funny if they went with Blizzard and then the mascot ends up being like a mammoth or a yeti or something, like a snow creature. That'd be just such an FU to fans that voted for the other two.
It's just Sid from Ice Age.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Yeah.
John Leguizamo shows up at game 1.
Yeah. No, it's gotta be. It has to be mammoth or yeti. Those are the only two that I feel like that make the most sense. Like again, the Blizzard Venom Outlaws aren't bad, but man, the possibilities you can go with Mammoth or Yeti, like you said, from a color scheme, from a logo scheme, I think just too good to pass up. I'd probably lean Mammoth. You'd have to add an S to it. I would lean Mammoth.
What are you gonna do for the kids in the pro shop? They're not gonna buy a Blizzard plushie. Like they're gonna want to buy the Mammoth,
snowflake or a snowman.
Yeah, like come on. I think it's gonna be Mammoth
a cloud.
Or Yeti. a single like tiny little snowflake. The snowflakes like it's just the tiniest logo.
Yeah. The jokes would be on this.
Oh man, the big snowflake logo would be hilarious.
Just put that center ice.
That'd have to be something they put as a prank.
Yeah.
That's
an April Fool's joke. This is what we're going with.
Right. I'm pretty pissed about this next piece of news, and I'll tell you why. The Washington Capitals purchased Cap Friendly for their own internal use.
Their own nefarious purposes.
Yes, and there's belief that they might hire certain guys from Cap Friendly. This is going to close around free agency frenzy. Puckpedia is probably going to become the new one. Megan Chaika, who's big in the sports analytics community, was like maybe tongue in cheek saying like, should I make a site like this now to help the fans out? which would be awesome. I think a lot of people get behind that for her.
Hmm.
This sucks because Cap Friendly is a wildly convenient, and awesome source for contract stuff, stats, anything you want. They even got draft, they file in some draft prospect stuff too. A lot of like historical stuff, trade history. The Capitals just go up and buy it. And like the league comes out and they're like, we didn't want this information to be public. Like, what?
Yeah. Again, what kind of shady inside business are we dealing with here?
I don't even like if you didn't want it to be public, like can you
You have the
block this?
capability. Yeah, I was like, you would think as the league, you would have capabilities to be like, hey, don't put this out.
You'd think, but the NHL is just run by such morons. I'm trying to find the tweet. I saw a good tweet about the situation. See if I can find it real quick. Yeah, the quote from Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts was the NHL frowns on the existence of sites like this one. Even though they should be doing it themselves, they consider it propriety information. I thought that was supposed to say proprietary. So the Capitals couldn't keep it open if they wanted to. Continued. The league would say you cannot be partners to this. This is weird wording. And have it be public. And you also couldn't make any money from it on any ads. So once the Capitals purchased it, it was coming down.
All right.
Like, this is just why something feels weird here. Like something is misaligned
Yeah,
with
something's
different
also
parties of the discussion
not being
here.
told, I feel like.
Like, I wonder if like certain franchises are like mad about this too. Like, I wonder if there's more layers to like what's going to be the fallout here because it obviously sucks to the fans. We do have Puckpedia. There are probably other sites like you can look at Spot Track. I don't know how many hockey fans look at Spot Track. Sure there were other ones as well, but this sucks. I mean, Cap Friendly just like has really evolved into something awesome. They
Mhm.
even launched their own NBA vertical salary switch. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. That was like last year, so that could be short lived if they have to shut that down too. I have no idea. Maybe the Wizards are gonna buy a salary switch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sucks. It's a wildly convenient site, and it's gonna be gone right around when people are using it the most,
Need it
pretty
the
much.
most. Yeah, that's bizarre timing.
So yeah, shout out to Puckpedia because they're gonna get a lot of site traffic, more so than they've got before. Um, the Bruins were interviewing prospects at the draft combine, even though they don't pick until the fourth round. For
Okay.
reference, Tampa, who also doesn't pick till the fourth round, is not. There's been speculation the Bruins could get in the first round with one Linus Ullmark trade. Are they looking at guys just because they like players, or more so because they're looking at guys they're going to target if they get to a certain spot? I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I think every team, if they feel so inclined, should interview first round prospects, even if they're not going to be picking in the first round, just like for due diligence. If there's some guy you like, you have some intel for him down the road. Like it's just good, like due diligence, and it makes having a scouting department a little more worth it. I
Mhm.
don't know, but that's just me. So the Bruins, the only guy I've seen they've interviewed with is Sasha Boisvert. I like Sasha Boisvert. He's a center. He's 6'2". He's going to the University of North Dakota. Wouldn't be opposed to them taking him if they're in like that 20 range. Chris Peters, I asked him a question for talking hockey sense about some things, like guys in the later portion. If they were to get a pick for Olmark, who they could look at, and he's got guys I like, which is why I like Chris Peters. He thinks a little on the same wavelength as me a lot of times, which is nice. Good to be on the same wavelength as a smart guy. Cole Yzerman was the big one. He's gonna fall because of his concerns about can he do enough outside of goal scoring, but the guy broke Cole Caulfield's scoring record. U.S. program, he scores the lights out. He's going to BU where he might play with his old Shattuck St. Mary's like U15 running buddy who they tore it up with in juniors. There seems to be some belief that Macklin Celebrini, who is going to be an 18-year-old sophomore, so this is essentially what would be his freshman year, could take the slow route, not go to San Jose right away, and be a first overall pick that doesn't go straight to the NHL. So we'll see what happens with Celebrini. It makes sense. I mean, he went in as a 17-year-old freshman to win the Hobie Baker again. Like winning a back-to-back
Pretty
Hobie
crazy.
Baker's crazy. Win a national championship. Didn't get to play for it last year. This is a competitive kid, and Cole Eisman was talking about like essentially like in ways in interviews, like it seemed like he kind of knows that Celebrini is going to stay, like talking about being roommates and stuff and a few other things I remember. Um, so the Bruins were to get like, I don't think Cole Eisman lasts to like pick 16. I think he'll go a little earlier. Maybe the Bruins are in the mix, but you're getting a guy that can score 40 goals easily. I think if he doesn't just completely bust. If you're getting Cole Eisman, he also mentions guys like Jet Luchenko. Bruins might have some familiarity with him. Center prospect plays for the Guelph Storm. Might have some familiarity from talking to watching Guelph Storm games when Potter was there. So maybe we got to look out for Jet Luchenko. Cool name too. Rose up draft boards for a reason. Good player. I haven't looked a ton into him yet, so I'm not going to act like I know a ton about him. But a lot of people seem to be liking the buzz on him. Michael Hage is a guy I talked about last week, and Chris mentioned Michael Hage. He's had some injury troubles the past few years, but like the home stretch and like the middle of last season, he really picked it up. He's fast, he's skilled, he's got great hands, great finishing ability. Going to Michigan next year, going to be in a stacked Michigan team. I like Michael Hage. I think he's got really nice top six forward upside. Probably more of a second liner, but you never know with him. You're taking shots on guys that have hopefully second liner upside at around the time he's going to go. So those are some names. We'll talk more about the draft as we get closer, and maybe we'll find out more about who the Bruins talked to as we get closer, because it's not over. They can still talk to players, but we had guys like Sam Dickinson and EJ Emery crush it at the combine. EJ Emery broke 2 combine records. His makes sense. He's very athletic, long, 6'3" frame. His dad played football. He played football growing up, athletic kid. Him and Sam Dickinson crushed it. They had 3.64% body fat, which is insane. So like just freaks of nature. We knew both of these guys were athletes if you've been following the draft cycle, especially Sam Dickinson. Crazy performances, long jump, high jump. Really impressive showings from them. I'm not going to go into all the combine details. Wanted to highlight those because I don't know if that will propel Sam Dickinson maybe into the top 5. It might. It might propel EJ Emery into the top 20s, surely. So we'll see. Somebody wants a defenseman that's 6'3" and he's a freak athlete. Look at EJ Emery. So those are some highlights from the combine. Some guys the Bruins might be looking at. We'll see. We do know. I did see that they did interview Boisvert apparently. So we'll watch out for Sasha Boisvert. Can't have too many centers at this point. You need more centers, in fact, in your prospect core. And North Dakota is not a bad development spot by any means. That's where he'll be going. So the Devils have reignited their pursuit of Jacob Markstrom. Sounds like that's probably going to happen. So that takes out Alina Solmark Suter. Will they give up the 10th overall pick? I don't know. They'd have to be really desperate, and they have to really want Markstrom. So kind of, with all the vibes around that, makes me think New Jersey's not really an option anymore unless Sweeney swoops in and tries to send Olmark there before. But we'll see. We don't even know if Olmark will waive there. Patrick Laine will play elsewhere next season. We found out today. A guy that can score at a 30-goal pace. Has had some anxiety issues and been in the player assistance program the past year. Only played 18 games. Didn't really work out for him, like personally and professionally. In Columbus, so they're trying to find a new spot. He makes $8.7 million for this upcoming year and next. So whoever trades for him might have to get him in a 3-way deal. But if you can get Patrick Laine on the right track, he's a guy that can score 30, 40 goals for you. 40 is going to be a little harder with, it's hard to replicate after, a few years now. He hasn't done it. But Patrick Laine, a guy that can score 30 and 60, Ryan, at $8.7 million for the next 2 years. Pretty young, 2016 draft pick. Are you opposed with, the inconsistency? We don't know what player he's going to be like coming back out of the NHLPA player assistance program, but obviously, if the Bruins were comfortable trading for him, I'm going to be comfortable with him on the team.
For sure.
I've been a Patrick Laine guy for a long time.
Guy, for sure. Yep.
I just don't know. I don't know if I like the risk here. The money would really have to work, especially for the Bruins' sake.
Oh, absolutely.
But he's going to be an interesting name. And I hope for his sake, with everything he's battled this year, he finds a good, comfortable spot. He's extremely fun to watch when he's, getting those high danger scoring chances. Are you on the Patrick Laine train at all, or do you have some skepticism
If they can make it work, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him in. And I feel like maybe he's a guy too that coming out of that, not like looking to prove something because obviously he's a good player, but maybe this is something that, like he's going to be rejuvenated and is it maybe not
Mm.
like a like it. I can't think of a better term to use other than like a new lease on life type of thing, which is the complete wrong way to describe this situation. But you know what I mean, like a guy that's looking to come out play with like a fire under his ass type of thing, and get back to playing hockey. So I wouldn't be opposed to it, like you said. You'd have to make the money work though. And I
Mm.
feel like finding a spot for him wouldn't be a problem, without a doubt.
Could that be an Olmark
Oh,
situation?
maybe
Could Olmark get you Patrick Laine plus other
be a
assets?
crazy trade just to see on paper.
Yeah, like you could evolve a third team to make that work. You're shipping out 5 million, assuming Columbus takes on the whole thing. It'd be easier for them if they can trade Merzlikins, which is going to be tough. Maybe the third team is involved with Merzlikins somehow. That would be really chaotic. But you'd have to send um part of that retained salary to like Chicago and like Merzlikins' contract to Chicago. That'd be really tough. But I think if Waddell's going to reignite his pursuit of Olmark in Columbus, he's going to have to move Merzlikins first, most likely. I don't think they'd want 10.4 million and net on the book. So it's interesting. Maybe there's a fit there though. If the Bruins want to add him as their top six winger, they want to add for some scoring. Maybe Patrick Laine and Linus Olmark can be part of a big trade together. But if the Bruins were getting Patrick Laine, I'd need another piece.
Yeah.
I need another piece because there's
Okay.
some risk right now. We know what Laine is capable of, but he's got big money. He played 18 games last year. And he's coming out of the player assistance program. Like there's got to be something to accommodate the risk. Whether Laine is going to be back to regular form next year or not. There are some question marks. So I wonder who gets him. I wonder for Carolina too. Carolina, they like their Finns, they like the
Mhm.
Russians too, but Patrick Laine is a guy I can see going to Carolina. So that's just one team I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
They're going to lose a couple wingers too. Teravainen might walk, and so might Gensel. Gensel's probably gone. Gensel might sign for big money with Connor Bedard, which is great because he's been underpaid for a little bit and he's won 2 Stanley Cups. So like he could just be like, all right, I'm going to go play with Connor Bedard and make 9 million a year.
Wouldn't be the worst
Which
thing.
they're looking for a mid-round pick for his draft rights. So if I'm Chicago, I'm doing that and I'm giving him a blank check. Accelerate things a little bit. Give Connor Bedard a running mate. Give Connor Bedard a guy that's won Stanley Cups. And almost won a Conn Smythe. I think he should have won a Conn Smythe, but Malkin had a good case that year too. Some breaking Bruins news before the show. Jay Leach is back. He was in the running to replace Jim Montgomery. Goes to Seattle. And he's back. I don't know if somebody on the staff has an expiring contract, if they're just adding him to the assistant coach group, if they plan on letting someone go. I don't know all the details, but Jay Leach is back. A lot of people were comfortable with him stepping in for Jim Montgomery, so I don't see why you'd be opposed to him coming back. So Jay Leach will be back in the mix. Familiar face. He's played for the Bruins, played for Providence as well. Has been with Providence too as a coach, and we'll see what Jay Leach is capable of. Obviously, has some relationship with Ryan Mougenel as well, who's down there coaching the Providence Bruins. So I like the move. And a quick recap: the PWHL draft was 2 nights ago, and they drafted Hannah Bilka. And I love Hannah Bilka because she played at BC for 4 years, went for her fifth year at Ohio State and won a national championship. Speedy, skilled. I'm a really big fan of Hannah Bilka. They trade out for Daniela Pejova. I hope I said that correctly. They moved up 3 spots to get her. She's a defenseman. Sydney Bard is a defenseman as well. Shea Maloney, Ilona Markova, who I think she might be the first Russian player to ever play in the PWHL if she suits up next year, which is the plan, I would imagine. So that's pretty cool. Some little history. And Hadley Hartmetz. Bilk is from BC, so it's OSU. Peshova is from Sweden, I believe. Bard is from Colgate. Maloney is from Sweden. Markova is from Russia. And Hartmetz is from Ohio State, so one of Bilka's teammates. So as they look to redeem themselves next year and win a championship, that's the draft class, and I'm very excited to watch Hannah Bilka. I'll have to get there in person. Couldn't make it to a game this year, but to watch a former Eagle, I will be there to watch Hannah Bilka because she's very good. And want to support the other local hockey team. Any closing thoughts? Anything around the NHL you've been thinking about, seeing about rumors that pique your interest? Marty Nietzsche was mentioned, linked to the Bruins again today on Insider
I like
Trading
that.
that came out about an hour ago. They mentioned Chicago and Montreal as well. About half the league has interest. Sounds like with him and Zegras, both teams are looking for a ton. So maybe it doesn't happen. And we'll see. But anything catch your eye, like rumors wise, anything you want to close out hockey on about the Stanley Cup Finals? Anything you want to
Yeah,
talk about
I
before
mean
we get to baseball?
that's where my thoughts at. Just as Edmonton, like we talked about when we started the hockey segment, if they can make this thing a series and try to get back into this, obviously you got to think Edmonton's a pretty damn tough place to play, especially with the Stanley Cup Final being
Yeah.
back there for the first time. And I wouldn't know.
Long time.
You would know better than I would, but. Again, I don't know if they have the horses. I mean, they have the horses, but can they use them and can they
Yeah, can
get
they be
away from
effective?
Florida? Yeah, exactly.
Is
Be
Florida
interesting to see.
inevitable?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's where we're
I
at.
think they might be.
It's not looking good. If we might be on a crash course for old classmates Tatum and Kachuk to both win championships. So saw the Aiden Diggs video with the Panthers players too. That was pretty funny. Last week it was Sam Kennedy. This year it's John Henry. It's been John Henry before. It won't be the last time. John Henry
Oh God, no.
just completely missing the mark, being completely out of touch and
Shocker.
having his priorities still on the PGA. I don't know if you saw that too. He just doesn't care.
No, he's an old guy.
They're putting out
They love golf.
they're putting out a team with an $11 million lineup, a bunch of scrubs. Not everybody's a scrub, but like they love the bargain bin.
Apparently
And they're
losing
putting
4-0 to the Phillies.
He's helped put together a team that has gone almost exactly 500. I don't know if it's still exactly 500 over the last like 4 years, and he just misses the mark on assessment of fans, and essentially in a way, like a lot of them seem to be thinking we're dumb.
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do is because if people missed it, John Henry joined the Financial Times because, God forbid you join a actual baseball media outlet for anything or a news outlet, you join the Financial Times to give your thoughts on things. John Tomasi it's not a very long article, so what I planned on doing for the Red Sox segment to end the show is briefly running through this little article that he wrote that kind of summarizes Henry's thoughts on the Red Sox, selling the team, as you said, and a couple other things. And as we go through it piece by piece, kind of give our thoughts on it because there is a lot of good information in it. There's a lot of great and great. By great, I mean great to make fun of and pick apart, not great that you should get excited from these comments from John Henry. Because like you said, the article starts off clear as day by saying that he is not going to sell the team and has no plans to do so. So picking up in Tomasi's article, the first paragraph here says, granting his first lengthy interview in years to the Financial Times via email, Henry discussed proposals to take a stake in the PGA Tour, as well as the status, of his other holdings in Fenway Sports Group. But of primary interest locally are his thoughts on the Red Sox, and he shared many, stating, starting with whether he intends to sell. He said, quote, "My wife and I live and work in Boston," Henry said. "We are committed to the city, the region, so the Red Sox are not going to come up for sale. We generally don't sell assets." And that is the big line, the big word that everyone has come away with when they read this. Is John Henry, like we have known for years, he was now just stupid enough to say it. The Red Sox are no longer really a passion to him. They are not a team in his eyes. They are just an asset. They are part of his portfolio. The other thing, like I said, too, my thought was, again, John Henry, you own a baseball team. Yes, you are a businessman, but you would think if you were going to give an interview talking about, about your baseball team, you would give it to a baseball outlet or a media outlet in the sports industry, not the Financial Times, and not over email, which is like the most, I'm going to butcher it. Is it intrapersonal when you don't want to like talk to anybody or, be face to face with anybody? The fact that he gave this interview over email, just typing it back to somebody, I'm assuming, so John Henry, don't go and sit in front of anybody to actually get these comments from or give these quotes to or, be on camera for anything. Type it over email, which he probably didn't even do. He probably had like an assistant or something do it. Typical John Henry skeevy BS. And then again, the fact that he referred to the Red Sox flat out as an asset is just absolutely disgusting in my opinion. I feel like you probably feel the same way, but like I said, we'll go through this piece by piece. I'll give my thoughts. You give yours. What do you think of this little start to the article and John Henry's first couple comments?
I hate him.
Yeah, I don't know how you unless it's like family members, friends, friends of his family. Like, I don't know how he has any supporters anymore. I really don't. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the asset thing is just like that's what he thinks of them as. Like,
Mhm.
and it's so ironic because they're really just not pulling in good money or anything right
No.
now. But he just like he's on Pluto.
Something I just noticed from this too, reading it back again while you were giving your thoughts. Never once said committed to the Red Sox. Looking back at that comment again, committed to the city and the region. Boston, New England Sport or Fenway Sports Group. Never once said committed to the Red Sox. You know, we're focusing on the baseball team here. Nope. Leaves it vague as in the city, just to be like, yeah, we're gonna, continue to build up Fenway Park around it with, the new facilities or the new businesses that are going to be around Fenway Park. Again, the PGA Tour stuff, which will be, or putting a team in Boston for that or whatever that situation is. Interesting. Just like I said, thought of it now. Never once said committed to the Red Sox. It's more so the city and the region and everything around the Red Sox instead of the actual team itself, which is, again, it's a just disgusting quote in itself. I don't know if you had anything to add to that before we jump into the next segment of this article.
No, I don't have anything else to add because I think we've covered it, and I do have something to say on the next portion.
Okay. So the next part, this says some other highlights. Henry held firm on the club's decision to avoid spending heavily in free agency and suggested the fans hold unrealistic expectations. Henry's quote was, quote, because fans expect championships almost annually, he said, they easily become frustrated and are not going to buy into what the odds actually are, 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. I'll defer to you because you seem pretty upset by this one, as you said. Your thoughts on this comment, as now the blame is turned to you and I and the rest of the Red Sox fan base. It's our fault with our unrealistic, quote unquote, expectations.
It's our fault. We're stupid for thinking that adding players that make a lot of money, because they're good, is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Such a stupid way to.
we should like. How do you not in your stupid melting geriatric brain realize how stupid that is?
Mm-hmm.
How ironic it is. Like people expect championships, and hey, people might want a championship this year. Nobody expects a championship from the Red Sox this year.
Nobody expected
Nobody.
a championship from the Red Sox in at least the last 5 years. Like, and I've had this
Like,
argument with my grandfather before of like, oh, kids these days are spoiled that all you want is championships. No, we just want the teams to be competitive. That's all we want at this
guess
point. And
what?
this is
Too.
what John Henry has done to us.
When you spent more money, your team won championships.
Look what the Phillies are
They
doing
won
with
four of them.
Dave Dombrowski at the helm, spending money, beating the bag
Four
out of
of
everybody they
them.
play. Like,
You won championships
mhm,
when you spent money, when you made big trades.
yeah. But yeah, I
When
mean this.
your guys made big trades.
Mhm.
How like
It
it I I tell you all the time, I do not let this shit I try to not let this shit bother me because it's the
it's
same
water
shit
under the
over and
bridge.
over
Yeah.
again. But holy fuck, man.
No, this one's bad because again, it turns it on to like we've seen with the ownership do before, and it's becoming their calling card of it's not our fault. It's you guys. You're the ones with the crazy expectations of, again, sorry that for the longest time, we were led to believe that big market teams actually cared about spending money, as you said, and cared about going for championships. No, the point I would have against that is no, John Henry, you have beaten Red Sox fans down to the point where we don't expect championships anymore. We expect a team to maybe hopefully win 85 to 90 games and maybe squeak into the playoffs instead of being this, team that maybe wins one year and then bottoms out for the next 5 to 6
And it
because you
goes
just
back
don't
to
do
the
anything to build
commitment to
off of
this.
these.
It goes back to the commitment to the city thing too. If you know anything about the city, you know all they care about is winning.
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking stupid old fuck.
Simple as that. But yeah, like again, how dare us Red Sox fans want this team to be even the slightest bit competitive? God forbid. We even go out there and try to win baseball games at this point.
And like it makes sense that like I'll get to the next part talking about the reactions to the full throttle comments from Tom Warner overblown.
Equally stupid comment coming up. Yep.
Equally stupid. The reactions to the overreactions, whatever you want to call them, to the full throttle stuff, were not overreactions. First off, You did nothing after that. So it's not overblown because people want to compete. You've been a 500 fucking team for 4 years, and people want some sense of urgency. You've let Xander Bogaerts go. You got diminished returns for Mookie fucking Betts, who can win the MVP. Connor Wong is all you have left, and he's hitting almost 330. You don't do anything. You had a 2-horse race for Jordan Montgomery that you could have given a 2-year deal to shut people up a little bit, and you didn't do it.
Yeah, not great.
You bring in Cooper Criswell. You bring Garrett Cooper. You bring fucking
Cooper Criswell's been okay this year.
Losers onto this team, and you think we're stupid.
How'd you like Dom Smith dropping a ball thrown right to him, and then
he was so excited when they got Dom Smith. You just know it.
Yeah,
you know
they tried 2 years ago to get Dom Smith and couldn't pull off a deal for him. So, but
how can you be so?
I'll get to the Dom Smith stuff at the end of this.
Fans and call them stupid like this. It's to the point where if I thought he had a bigger brain and a more, working brain than he does, I would think this is parody from him in the best form, because it'd be hilarious. But he really is so tone deaf.
That's what I mean.
Really
you have to try unaware.
This team is run by dinosaurs who have no intention of winning. Besides Craig Breslow, but Craig Breslow is handicapped by what they allow him to do. And this type of shit led to Chaim Bloom being the scapegoat. And now Craig Breslow is just Chaim Bloom with a fucking mustache on because he can't do shit either.
Nope. Not great. Let's move on to the next comment, shall we? Because again, it doesn't get any better. You alluded to this, the Tom Werner stuff. He said he thought the reaction to Chairman Tom Werner's comments about quote-unquote going full throttle this winter were overblown, but he also seemed to misunderstand fan anger over the state of the big league club. Quote, Werner's comments overshadowed every other word, paragraph, and interview of the winter because it reaches so deeply into the false belief that many fans in the media have that you should mortgage the future each year for the present. He said, you have to base acquisitions and dispositions on the future, not the past. That is unpopular generally. Again, like I said earlier, how dare you fans think we should be competitive every season or try to be competitive every season? That's just an insane and idiotic expectation of, again, a formerly big market club. And to that comment about blowing up and mortgaging the farm system every year, no one is expecting you to every single year blow your farm system up and make 9 trades at the trade deadline and bring all these talented guys in. Again, we've talked about this before with the Red Sox. I don't think they know you can do both. You can trade off prospects and get some young guys up to contribute and balance it out pretty well. Again, the Phillies have done that really well. Funny who's leading the charge in that team, Dave Dombrowski. Maybe you've heard of him. Pretty good at his job.
When things worked, when you won your last championship.
Yep.
You have prospects, which are one of the only things to be excited about right now. Guess what? John Henry doesn't know who those fucking prospects are. No. I guarantee you.
No, probably not. I mean, he probably doesn't know what anything is when it comes to a baseball team. The other thing, go ahead.
I'm fucking
just starstruck. Well, then too, the other, again, I don't understand the defending of the full throttle stuff. Because Mike, if I were to tell you without any sort of context, leading into next week's show, I'm going to go full throttle at it. Like, that would get you like, oh crap, what's Ryan going to do for the next show? Like, he's going to obviously have something big planned, right? If he's going full throttle into something, like he's going to give it his all and everything. So the fact that he will say this, Sam Kennedy will say this, Tom Werner will say that, like, oh, the full throttle stuff, people maybe took that out of context a little bit. No. When you say you're going to go full throttle or give something your all or however you want to word it, that usually means it's something big, important, fancy, whatever you want to describe it as. Usually means something like that is coming down the line. You can't say that, do nothing, and then backtrack it and try to walk it back like, oh, when we said full throttle, we really didn't mean, we were going to try all that. Like, that's on you guys for misunderstanding what we clearly said was going to happen.
The funniest thing, too, which just adds another layer to this, is no one in their right mind saw the full throttle comments like, oh, fuck yeah, like they're going to get Blake Snell.
True. No one thought it was going to be a good thing. Yep.
They're going to trade for this.
Everyone clowned it immediately. You're right.
Everybody knew it wasn't going to materialize. Nope. Like,
There were some
just
fans that were probably like, "Oh, maybe this might be the year,
it gets
maybe."
worse. It just
No,
this
not gonna be
all
the
this
case.
BS in them just gets worse,
Yeah,
and it just
it's
shouldn't.
like I
But
said, it's
it makes
become their
sense why it does.
yeah. It's I was gonna say it's become their calling card. It still blows my mind, even though it happens like every other month at this point. At this point, it's becoming every week. Where they'll just put the blame on Red Sox fans. Like, you guys are the idiots. You misunderstood us. Like, how dare you think that, you can comprehend the words that we're saying, these big words that there are worse run organizations, don't get me wrong, but like the fact that they continue to try to peddle this crap of like, oh, you misunderstood us and you don't really understand what we're getting at here. Like, dude, again, like you said, this city has been around long enough and has seen, the winning and has seen, a ton of stuff in the sports world. It's not a stupid fan base. They know when they're being lied to. They know when, things are going their way. So the fact that John Henry and the rest of the front office group continue to try to just blatantly lie to people and then try to pass it off like, oh, you were the ones that were wrong. It wasn't us. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And then the last part of it too, because there was one other comment here again from Tomas. He said, "Counterpoint: it's not Red Sox fans believe the team should mortgage the future, but that Henry should show more interest in the present." 100% true. This last point too. Henry reiterated a point he has made in the past about his reticence to address fan and media concerns directly. Quote: "I don't think people in my position can win publicly. Your words are often used against you. So the less I generally say, generally think the less I say, I generally think the better," he said. That last comment, go ahead.
Know what the crazy thing about your words being used against you and the premise of that happening? Your words are not going to be used against you if you don't fuck your team from behind.
You back it up.
And if you win, and if you back it up, and this full throttle thing actually became full throttle.
Yeah, those were my two takeaways too.
The lack of awareness is really historic.
It's insane
From John
absolutely
John Henry, and it is bled down to Tom Warner, who we like. To my knowledge, we haven't really heard a lot of from like super frequently in the past.
Oh,
like,
Tom Warner's played it good. He's kept his mouth shut this year. He hasn't said anything after the full throttle stuff.
And now it's Sam Kennedy. And poor Craig Breslow is just caught in this fucking shit show. You've got Alex Cora saying he agrees to disagree with John Henry's comments on WEI. You've got Terry Francona calling out the fucking front office.
Awesome to see today. Yeah.
Like, why should he care at this point? He said our owners in Boston, they've been owners for 10 years. He said in a book excerpt, they come in with all these ideas about baseball, but I don't think they love baseball. I think they like baseball. It's revenue. And I know that that's their right and their interest because they're owners. And they're good owners. Disagree. But they don't love the game. It's still more of a toy or a hobby for them. It's not in their blood. It's not their blood, he said. They're going to come in and out of baseball. It's different for me. Baseball is my life. The excerpt details a meeting with then general manager Theo Epstein.
Yeah, that's an old interview, but
Francona, Lucchino, and a tardy Henry. Larry Lucchino, rest in peace. But my God, like,
yeah,
it's just perfect timing to see that tweeted out. It really was.
It was, yeah. There's 2 points I take away from that last comment. And one, the first one you kind of alluded to is yes, when you say stupid and blatantly wrong shit, and then try to pass it off like you didn't say that, you are going to get called on it, and you are going to have those words used against you.
You own the team.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing too is the first comment. So I guess there's 3 takeaways I had from it.
Maybe he just forgets he owns the team. Maybe he thinks they're an asset because he's like, oh, like I probably own something in this team. Like
I haven't been associated with this team in God knows how long. So because I'm never actually in the ballpark. Although he was at the Savannah Bananas game the other night I saw, so it was nice of him to make an appearance there. Again, just adding another little piece of his portfolio and checkbook there. But no, the other points I had from this was the first line of, I don't think people in my position can win publicly. Oh, you poor thing. Oh, you, again, big owner of a multi-million-dollar fucking
guy who dodges public appearances, dodges like the fan
poor thing.
The fan thing at winter meetings.
I'll pour one out for you. I'm gonna lose sleep over you crying about having all these problems with the fans and everything because you're just pissing people off. The last line though, the less I say, generally, I think it's the better for me, or I'm paraphrasing. That's the smartest thing he said all interview is, you're better off just shutting the fuck up and not saying anything.
You should just never talk again.
Yeah.
Like, just don't talk. Just spend money. Like,
Go watch the
please.
PGA for the rest of your life. Go have fun with that, or go over to if they still have the soccer team or whatever. I don't know because I don't give a crap about John Henry's fucking portfolio at this point. Um, just go away. Like again, I'm curious to see what happens next week because, like you said, it was Sam Kennedy and his snake oil salesman's ass last week, and now John Henry this week. Maybe Craig Breslow will have a comment coming up, but you said the trickle down. You're starting to see it. You said the Alex Cora stuff, the agree to disagree stuff. Maybe it's starting to trickle down a little bit to the on-field product, as we know it's not been great. But last night, like I said, Dom Smith had a pretty infamous error to kind of cost the Red Sox the game. I don't know if you saw the comments afterwards, but little disagreement on who you hear from. Alex Cora said he talked about it with Dominic Smith, told Smith that it's a play that needs to be made. And then a couple minutes later, you had the Dominic Smith comments come out, basically blaming the throw. I think it was, I want to say Hamilton was playing second base last night. Dominic Smith kind of pulled the Devontae Parker from this season, where it's that interception he had, where like, oh, it's not my fault that I didn't go up and get the ball. Dominic Smith basically played that card and was like, the throw was up the line. Didn't want to reach in and interfere with the runner, stuff like that. So, did you talk to him, Alex Cora, and did you both agree that that's a play that has to be made? Or Dominic Smith, are you throwing your teammate under the bus because it's his fault? The throw was a little poor, and you couldn't stretch 2 extra inches to the right to grab it. So I think you're starting to see some cracks with this team. They're not playing inspiring baseball at all right now. As you said earlier, they are the epitome of a 500 team.
Right.
It's going to get ugly before this season ends. I don't doubt that at this point.
The Francona stuff, that we talked about too, made me think when Alex Cora, I don't think he's going to survive the season. They'll fire him for some cause, no matter how the team does, unless they make a miraculous run. I think they'll move on.
And they'll wait until like the last 3 weeks of the season to do it too. Like
dude,
they'll can him late.
He'll drop footnotes on the way out of like, snarky shit, like shots at John Henry. When he has an opportunity to speak in a way, like maybe he writes a book like Terry did. Or is. I don't know if he's writing that or he's already written.
No, I think that was an old comment.
Yeah. So I think Alex Cora is going to light them up sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to burn the bridge. I think he's going to light them up, and I can't wait. And maybe he'll be a little subtle. Maybe he won't go full scorched earth.
He'll start.
He's going to say something.
Yeah, he'll start subtle.
Like we saw moments last year in particular, like the blood can boil for him, and we've seen him rejected at times, this year and in the past too. But like, I think he's a guy that can snap and crackle and maybe pop too. So
absolutely. The full burning of the bridge, if it comes, won't come until like he's, I think, fully done. Because if you burn, he's not a type of guy I feel like to do that, and then
it'll
cost
come
him his job
in the future though.
But it would be interesting to see because I think you'd have to get somebody out there to say something. I can't see how he doesn't. I was just gonna say that he's hated him for a couple years now. Like, he has not seen eye to eye with this organization for a while, and that's why again, like I would hate to see him go because I think he's a good manager. But for his sake, if they don't fire you, walk away at the end of this year. Go somewhere where they actually prioritize prioritize winning.
I mean, like it's crazy, man. Like I'll leave with one final thought. This got so bad before the season that Rafael Devers had to come out and say something. He's just a sweet little 12-year-old on the team.
Exactly.
Still got baby fat in his face. And he's the one that is saying this because he has no one else to lead but him. Yeah. He has to be the leader because you've gutted your team and brought in scrubs, and you got Bobby Dahlbeck playing right field. That's just where the Red Sox are at. They're an entirely different.
I can say joke
baseball
organization. It's okay.
That we saw a few years ago, namely 2018. We didn't know how good we had it.
Yeah,
we did, but
didn't know how quick it was going to end.
We didn't know how bad it would get. I guess
we thought that was the start of another.
Some people saw this coming.
Start of another long run. Look at this team you have, and it's been blown up within.
I really just
was blown up within 2 years of that World Series win.
The Phillies are the Phillies team that I dislike the least. It would be so funny if Dave Dombrowski led them to a World Series.
Oh, I'm rooting for it 100%.
Oh, I would love it to be them. I would love it to be the Orioles. The Orioles, I love the Orioles. They're such a likable group of guys. Even though they're in the AL East, it'd be awesome too if they won because it's an AL East team winning. That would be great because the Red Sox sure aren't going to fucking win. Just accept it. If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing.
The
Ran
one thing I
over.
would
Like
say,
we really just started cooking Red Sox topics the last
yeah.
couple weeks, huh?
The only thing I was gonna say to end it is you wonder because I mean it has in the past or it had in the past. It probably won't now because again we've alluded to that John Henry doesn't care. But like say the Yankees win the World Series, is that the thing that maybe finally wakes the Red Sox up of like oh well? But again, that hasn't been a rivalry, a back and forth, and God knows how long. So that the Yankees winning a World Series probably wouldn't even wake John Henry up and make the Red Sox want to get back to that team they were as we come to know and love way back in the day, it seems like.
No, it's just he's a corpse. So
Yep.
that's his run in the Boston Red Sox
Mm-hmm.
financially. So that's gonna wrap it up. Game 3 is starting soon. Thank you so much for listening to episode 197 of Selling Cratty. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Selling Cratty Pod. You can also do the name of the podcast into your TikTok search bar. We'll still have some more draft content, free agency, NHL content primarily, maybe some Patriots coming from me in the coming weeks and months. We'll drive some content there whenever we see fit. So go follow there. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can rate and review there. YouTube and Twitch on the Full Press coverage pages, and Podchaser and Podbean as well. Maybe we'll have a championship to talk about next show. That'd be
nice.
awesome. Be pretty sweet. We haven't talked about a Boston championship besides the PWHL team
Same thing. Haven't had that in a
since
while.
2018. Maybe PWHL will win their first in the new league next year. We were talking about them a little bit today. So yeah, we covered a lot today. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice to people, all that good stuff. Banner 18 coming soon. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.